Harry Thomas is in his second year of the theater program here at Ryerson University. We sat down with him to find out what made acting more than just a hobby.
Frankly, because I don't think there's anything else I could do. Theater is the thing I know more than any other, and I knew ever since I was a kid that I was going to be in the arts in some capacity. Just my nature. I'm not, I would never survive in the business world. They'd eat me up and spit me out. Well, so too, might the acting world too. It likes to do that, no matter how passionate you are. But I'd say probably it was the fact that in theater you get to create worlds. You get to play, create myths, manifest them, challenge people in a live space. I mean, it's happening. Theater happens.
Harry grew up in the small but legendary town of Stratford, Ontario, with his brother and parents, who are both actors.
Well, again, because I grew up on a farm, right? I grew up in basically total isolation for the vast majority of my time. I always had a phrase. I always played pretend games by myself, just building these worlds, pretending I was all these different people. Started writing my first play when I was bloody 12 years old. Played with swords all the time, got to live all those adventures in my head, because you're in the country, got this huge, beautiful landscape to create in.
After growing up in the world of theater, Harry applied to some of the most acclaimed theater programs in Canada, and even the renowned London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts.
Yeah, I applied to LAMDA, which is the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, and it's a pretty well-known theater school, obviously, in Britain. I auditioned for them on my first pass, and I garnered no success, hence my year off. But then on my second pass, I was lucky enough to get a call back, and that's really the reason I'd gone in for them, was because I'd never be able to afford to get a British theater education, much as I would love one. But to know that I was able to meet an international standard, not just a national one, and especially because it was the first audition and all this, that gave me a huge amount of confidence in addressing then my subsequent auditions for the Canadian theater schools.
But it was here at Ryerson University that Harry decided to pursue his acting training with.
It's a very strong conservatory program, quite well known in Canada. Arguably one of the top two theater schools in the country, us and NTS. There are obviously other very credible programs here in Canada, but those are the two biggies. And of the two, Ryerson is the only one that occurs inside a university. I have some academic pretensions. I have some intellectual pretensions. So having the opportunity to study philosophy at the same time as I was studying theater was ideal.
As an actor, Harry has experience both in his hometown of Stratford and here in Toronto, and enjoys the variety between the two.
Well, Stratford is the Stratford Shakespeare Festival, so there's a lot of Shakespeare, there's a lot of classical work. In Toronto, the vast majority of the work is contemporary, a lot of it is independent, and a lot of it is very experimental by nature, at least a lot of the work that I try and see. Also a greater presence of Canadian theatre and Canadian playwrights in Toronto than in Stratford, which is something for which this festival takes a lot of flack, not unreasonably. So to be able to come here and kind of understand what's happening now in this country theatrically, not just inside the kind of insular community that is Stratford, but at large.
Although his classical theater roots are deep after growing up in the Shakespearean world of Stratford, Harry loves the modern roles he's been able to play here in Toronto.
The show I did in October, Gentleman Caller, was an interesting example of that, because it was a short play. It was a one actor of about an hour length, and in it I played a hustler. I played a hooker, who is in fact the angel of death, come to take away someone's soul. And I like that about modern theater, is that you get that really cool juxtaposition of the grotesque or the dirty, like the grotty, ghetto, and the sublime. And I think that's really the kind of work I'd love to be able to, I love that dichotomy, and that's the kind of work I'd love to be able to keep doing.
Rode away, and the people of the town heard the sound of his laughter, and they knew the rain had come to stay.